Okay. Um, and this is a roaster made for ants. So this is a classic drum roaster. This is what people have been roasting coffee on for maybe hundreds of years. I don't even know, at least 50. It basically has about 24 atmospheric burners underneath, and atmospheric burners are just when the air and the oxygen mix at the same point, which would be like on your grill, exact same kind of style. The ones on the San Fran are actually slightly off center because it's a clockwise rotating drum, and the majority of the bean mass, the green coffee, is gonna sit on this side. It's kind of completely sealed as long as the door is shut, and you also have a fan in the back that pulls hot air over the coffee and up and out. Not only does it pull hot air over the coffee, it also kind of helps to exit the smoke and the chaff that comes off while you're roasting. Classic drum roasters, you have about 80–85% convective heat transfer and around 15 to 20% conductive heat transfer from the hot drum. So you have the hot drum is kind of one thing that helps roast the coffee, and then the hot air coming across it. The basic flow is the green coffee, you load it up here, kind of go and tip it up there. You know, you have the burners on, the roaster is warm, somewhere around 400 degrees or so. You do what's called charging the roast, and you open the little gate and all the green coffee comes down the chute into the drum. It rotates around for anywhere from 9 to 13 minutes. Make some gas adjustments here, make some airflow adjustments here, and then at the end of it all, you kind of turn on the sweep, and then the drum here has like a bunch of little perforations and another fan, and it pulls cold air through those, and you just open up the door, and all the green coffee, or all the roasted coffee then falls out. There's a couple other little things that are important to kind of know about the machine. We have this thing here, which is called a trier, which we don't really use anymore because it's right next to these really important things called probes, which give a readout to the screen so that you can kind of match and see how your roast is going with all your profiles that are loaded. So if you were to pull this out while you're roasting, you're actually going to suck a bunch of cold air in right next to your probe, and it's going to affect the way the coffee uses. Traditionally, like, we have a little viewfinder window here too, or a sight glass it's called. It's so that you can see the color changes of the coffee. Before all this software and stuff, like 10 years ago, people just went by color and time, right? There wasn't anything tracking anything. They would write in a little notebook. So this, you kind of just, when you flip it up, it has like a little thing here, and you can look at the coffee and smell it. And people claim that they could smell the coffee and tell when it's going to be good to end or not. I never could. I kind of rely on data. But we have that here, and then this is called the bean probe. The mass of beans sits over here, so this is taking like a rough reading of the outside temperature of the coffee. And then we have another probe over here, which is going to be called your environmental temperature probe, and it's basically telling you how hot it is inside of the drum while you're roasting. Again, the little sight glass so that you can see the color changing of the coffee without using the trier. And we also hand plumbed in fire suppression. So this is like a big water valve, so if we have a fire in the drum, we can just open this up and it'll squirt a bunch of water in there. Last thing you want to do is use a fire extinguisher. You'll have to clean the drum and do a bunch of stuff. So usually when we have fires, we have them back here in the chaff collector. The thing in the back too is called an afterburner. It runs at about 12 or 1300 degrees, and it incinerates all the smoke before it goes into the atmosphere. You have to have it, especially in California, for the air pollution control district. You can see too, the drum has a bunch of paddles in there that kind of helps move the coffee around, keep it from getting stuck on the drum and making roast defects like scorching or tipping. And the back of the drum is perforated like the cooling tray so that the air can be pulled through while you're roasting. And then at the end, you put a little trash can under here, and you open this guy, and all your roasted coffee goes into the can. And then you bag it up. And this is a roaster made for ants. It's exactly same thing as the other larger roaster that we just talked about, but way smaller. The other roaster we talked about, you can roast about 20, 25 pounds at a time. This one does up to 1 pound. So this is something you can use to kind of make profiles for new coffees that come in, but everything is pretty much exactly the same, just smaller. It still has a little clockwise rotating drum in there. It still has a little viewfinder. It still has a little trier if you wish to use that. It has a little gas control over here. has a little cooling tray, but instead of dumping the coffee out, you just pick the cooling tray up and dump it into your bag. Same thing too, every roaster in here is hooked up to Cropster and has proper probes placed in the correct spots, and so you can make your profiles and get good readouts and everything. Same thing, only smaller.